Welcome back to the channel. If you truly care about your health, your metabolism, and learning the real science behind how your body works, then you're in the right place. Before we begin, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends and family because my biggest wish is to reach 100,000 subscribers as soon as possible. And with your support, we can make that happen together. Every like, every share, and every subscription helps this channel grow and helps more people learn life-changing health information. So now, let's get into today's powerful topic. What if the very first thing you do after waking up is either accelerating your metabolism for the entire day or silently slowing it down? Most people think metabolism is controlled only by age or genetics, but that is far from the truth. Your metabolism is heavily influenced by hormones, insulin sensitivity, cortisol levels, thyroid activity, and even your exposure to natural light within the first hour after waking up. In fact, your body makes critical metabolic decisions every morning that determine whether you burn energy efficiently or store more fat throughout the day. One of the most powerful things you can do every morning is expose your body to natural sunlight as early as possible. This simple habit has a direct effect on your circadian rhythm, which is essentially your body's internal biological clock. Your circadian rhythm controls the timing of hormone production, energy levels, appetite regulation, and metabolic efficiency. When this rhythm becomes disrupted, metabolism slows down, insulin resistance increases, and fat burning becomes much less efficient. Morning sunlight plays a major role in regulating cortisol, which is often misunderstood. Many people think cortisol is always harmful, but your body actually needs healthy cortisol spikes early in the morning. Cortisol should naturally rise shortly after waking because it helps mobilize stored energy, stabilize blood sugar, and increase alertness. When your cortisol rhythm is functioning correctly, your body becomes more metabolically flexible, meaning it can switch between burning carbohydrates and fat more efficiently. However, when people wake up and immediately stay indoors under artificial light, the brain receives weak signals about the time of day. This disrupts communication between the brain and the adrenal glands. As a result, cortisol may remain elevated later into the evening instead of peaking in the morning. Elevated nighttime cortisol is strongly associated with increased abdominal fat storage, insulin resistance, poor sleep quality, and slower metabolic activity. Sunlight exposure also influences melatonin production later at night. Melatonin is not only a sleep hormone, it also plays an important role in mitochondrial health. Mitochondria are the energy-producing structures inside your cells that convert nutrients into usable energy. Healthy mitochondria are essential for maintaining a fast and efficient metabolism. When melatonin production is disrupted due to poor morning light exposure, mitochondrial energy production declines and fatigue often increases. Another major metabolic benefit of morning sunlight involves insulin sensitivity. Insulin is the hormone responsible for moving glucose from the bloodstream into the cells. When insulin sensitivity is poor, the body produces more insulin to control blood sugar levels. High insulin levels encourage fat storage and make weight loss significantly more difficult. Studies have shown that proper circadian alignment improves insulin sensitivity, allowing the body to manage glucose more effectively throughout the day. There is also a strong connection between sunlight exposure and serotonin production. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter involved in mood, appetite control, and emotional stability. Low serotonin levels are commonly associated with cravings for sugar and processed carbohydrates. Many people unknowingly overeat because disrupted circadian rhythms affect neurotransmitter balance. Morning sunlight helps regulate serotonin naturally, which may reduce cravings and improve appetite control later in the day. Your thyroid gland also responds to circadian signals. The thyroid is one of the primary regulators of metabolic speed because thyroid hormones control how quickly your cells produce and use energy. Chronic circadian disruption may interfere with thyroid hormone conversion, particularly the conversion of T4 into the active thyroid hormone T3. Low active thyroid hormone activity can contribute to fatigue, cold intolerance, slow calorie burning, brain fog, and stubborn weight gain. Even inflammation levels may improve with proper morning light exposure. Circadian rhythm disturbances are associated with increased inflammatory markers in the body. Chronic inflammation can impair insulin signaling, damage mitochondria, and negatively affect liver function. The liver is deeply involved in metabolism because it regulates glucose storage, fat processing, detoxification, and hormone balance. Supporting the body's internal clock may help optimize liver efficiency and overall metabolic performance. The key is consistency. Ideally, natural sunlight exposure should happen within the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking. Even 10 to 20 minutes of outdoor light can send strong signals to the brain that regulate hormonal timing throughout the entire day. This is especially important for people experiencing fatigue, slow metabolism, poor sleep, increased cravings, or difficulty losing weight despite dieting. Your metabolism is not simply about calories. It is a hormone-driven system controlled by the brain, adrenal glands, thyroid, liver, pancreas, and mitochondria. The way you start your morning directly influences how all of these systems function together. Something as simple as morning sunlight may quietly improve insulin sensitivity, support healthy cortisol rhythms, enhance mitochondrial energy production, stabilize appetite hormones, and create a metabolic environment that supports efficient fat burning all day long. Your body can wake up dehydrated every single morning without you even realizing it, and that hidden dehydration may be one of the biggest reasons your metabolism feels slow, your energy crashes early, and your cravings become harder to control. Most people think metabolism is only about food and exercise, but hydration directly affects nearly every metabolic process inside the body. The moment you wake up, your cells, hormones, liver, kidneys, and mitochondria all depend on water to function efficiently. During sleep, your body continues losing fluids through breathing, sweating, and cellular repair processes. After 6 to 8 hours without water, blood volume can slightly decrease, and this immediately affects circulation, oxygen delivery, and nutrient transport. Even mild dehydration places stress on the body and may increase cortisol production. Elevated cortisol over time is strongly associated with abdominal fat accumulation, insulin resistance, and slower metabolic function. One of the first systems affected by dehydration is the mitochondria. Mitochondria are responsible for producing cellular energy in the form of ATP. Without adequate hydration, the efficiency of these energy-producing structures begins to decline. When mitochondrial energy production slows down, fatigue increases, physical performance drops, and calorie burning becomes less efficient. Many people describe this as feeling sluggish or mentally foggy in the morning, but at the cellular level, it is often linked to impaired energy metabolism. Drinking water immediately after waking may also stimulate a process called thermogenesis. Thermogenesis refers to heat production inside the body, and this process requires energy expenditure. Studies have shown that water intake can temporarily increase metabolic activity because the body must warm and process the fluid. While this effect is not extreme, it contributes to overall calorie utilization and supports a more active metabolic state during the early part of the day. Hydration also has a direct effect on insulin sensitivity. Insulin is the hormone responsible for transporting glucose into the cells where it can be used for energy. When the body becomes dehydrated, stress hormones such as cortisol and vasopressin may rise. Elevated stress hormones can interfere with insulin signaling and make blood sugar regulation more difficult. Over time, this may contribute to chronically elevated insulin levels, which promote fat storage and increase the risk of metabolic dysfunction. Another major organ affected by dehydration is the liver. The liver plays a central role in metabolism because it regulates blood sugar balance, processes fats, detoxifies harmful substances, and converts nutrients into usable energy. When hydration is poor, liver efficiency may decline. This is important because the liver is heavily involved in fat metabolism. If the liver becomes overburdened or sluggish, the body may struggle to efficiently mobilize and burn stored fat. The kidneys are also deeply connected to metabolic health. Their job is to filter waste products, balance electrolytes, and regulate fluid levels. Dehydration increases the workload placed on the kidneys and may alter sodium and potassium balance. These electrolytes are critical for muscle contraction, nerve signaling, and cellular energy production. Even mild electrolyte imbalances can contribute to fatigue, headaches, muscle weakness, and reduced physical performance. Morning hydration may also help regulate appetite hormones. Many people confuse dehydration with hunger because the brain areas responsible for thirst and appetite signaling are closely connected. As a result, people may begin consuming excess calories when the body is actually asking for fluids. Drinking water early in the morning may help stabilize appetite and reduce unnecessary snacking driven by false hunger signals. There is also an important relationship between hydration and digestion. Water supports stomach acid production, nutrient absorption, and bowel function. Poor hydration may slow digestion and contribute to bloating or constipation. This becomes especially important because nutrient deficiencies can quietly affect metabolism. For example, magnesium, B vitamins, potassium, and trace minerals are all involved in energy production and metabolic enzyme activity. Without proper hydration, nutrient transport throughout the body becomes less efficient. Hydration may even influence brain chemistry and mood regulation. The brain is highly sensitive to fluid balance, and dehydration can impair focus, memory, and mental clarity. Low hydration levels may increase fatigue and reduce dopamine activity, which can influence motivation and cravings. Many individuals rely heavily on caffeine in the morning without addressing the underlying issue of dehydration first. Excessive caffeine on an empty, dehydrated body may further elevate cortisol and worsen energy crashes later in the day. The timing of hydration matters as well. Drinking water shortly after waking helps activate multiple systems simultaneously. It supports circulation, improves cellular hydration, assists detoxification pathways, and prepares the digestive system for nutrient processing throughout the day. Some people also benefit from adding electrolytes or mineral-rich fluids, especially if they consume large amounts of caffeine, sweat heavily, or follow low-carbohydrate diets that increase fluid loss. Your metabolism depends on far more than calorie intake alone. Every hormone, organ, and cellular process involved in energy production requires proper hydration to function efficiently. Something as simple as drinking water first thing in the morning may support insulin sensitivity, improve mitochondrial energy production, reduce unnecessary cortisol stress, assist liver fat metabolism, and help create a more stable metabolic environment throughout the day. What you eat in the morning can either activate your body's fat-burning systems or trigger hormonal reactions that keep you hungry, tired, and storing fat for the rest of the day. One of the biggest metabolic mistakes people make is starting the morning with a high sugar or high carbohydrate breakfast that spikes insulin immediately after waking. The body's hormonal environment in the morning is extremely sensitive, and the type of food you eat directly influences insulin, glucagon, cortisol, dopamine, and even thyroid activity. This is why a high-protein breakfast can dramatically change the way your metabolism functions throughout the entire day. Protein is one of the most metabolically powerful nutrients because it affects multiple systems at the same time. Unlike refined carbohydrates, protein does not create rapid blood sugar spikes. Instead, it helps stabilize glucose levels and reduces excessive insulin release. Insulin is the hormone responsible for storing energy, but chronically elevated insulin also encourages fat storage and blocks efficient fat burning. When insulin remains high for long periods, the body becomes more resistant to insulin signaling, which forces the pancreas to produce even more insulin over time. A protein-rich breakfast helps prevent this cycle by slowing digestion and improving blood sugar control. Stable blood sugar is extremely important because sudden glucose crashes often trigger cravings, fatigue, irritability, and overeating later in the day. Many people feel hungry only a few hours after breakfast because their meal lacked enough protein to regulate appetite hormones properly. One of the major hormones influenced by protein is glucagon. Glucagon is often overlooked, but it plays a critical role in metabolism. While insulin stores energy, glucagon helps release stored energy by encouraging the breakdown of glycogen and fat. A higher protein intake tends to support a healthier glucagon response, which may improve metabolic flexibility and help the body access stored fat more efficiently between meals. Protein also has a significant effect on satiety hormones such as peptide YY and GLP-1. These hormones communicate with the brain and help regulate hunger signals. When protein intake is too low, appetite regulation becomes weaker, and cravings often intensify throughout the day. This is especially important for people struggling with weight gain or constant snacking because poor appetite control is frequently connected to unstable blood sugar and inadequate protein consumption. Another major advantage of a high-protein breakfast is its effect on muscle preservation. Muscle tissue is metabolically active, meaning it burns more calories even at rest. When dietary protein is insufficient, especially during weight loss, the body may begin breaking down muscle tissue for energy. This slows metabolism over time because less muscle means lower overall calorie expenditure. Adequate morning protein supports muscle protein synthesis and helps preserve lean body mass, which is critical for maintaining long-term metabolic health. Protein also creates a higher thermic effect compared to carbohydrates and fats. The thermic effect of food refers to the amount of energy the body uses to digest, absorb, and process nutrients. Protein requires substantially more energy for digestion, meaning the body burns more calories simply processing it. This contributes to a slightly higher metabolic rate after meals and supports overall energy expenditure throughout the day. The brain is also deeply affected by protein intake. Amino acids from protein are necessary for the production of neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin. Dopamine is involved in motivation, focus, and reward signaling. When dopamine levels are unstable, people often experience low motivation, increased cravings, and poor energy regulation. Starting the day with adequate protein provides the building blocks needed for healthy neurotransmitter production and may help improve mental clarity and appetite control. Another important factor is cortisol. Cortisol naturally rises in the morning to help mobilize energy and increase alertness. However, consuming highly refined carbohydrates early in the day may create exaggerated blood sugar fluctuations that place additional stress on the body. This may contribute to unstable cortisol patterns and increased energy crashes later in the day. Protein helps create a steadier hormonal response and may reduce excessive stress-related metabolic disruption. The liver also benefits from balanced protein intake. The liver regulates blood sugar levels and processes nutrients into usable energy. Amino acids from protein support liver detoxification pathways and contribute to the production of important enzymes involved in metabolism. Additionally, certain amino acids help support glutathione production, which is one of the body's most important antioxidants for reducing oxidative stress and protecting cellular function. Micronutrients commonly found in high-quality protein sources also support metabolism. Nutrients such as vitamin B12, iron, zinc, selenium, and choline are essential for thyroid hormone function, oxygen transport, mitochondrial activity, and energy production. Deficiencies in these nutrients may contribute to fatigue, slower metabolism, brain fog, and poor recovery. A metabolically supportive breakfast is not simply about eating fewer calories. It is about creating hormonal stability and giving the body the nutrients it needs to regulate energy efficiently. A high-protein breakfast may help reduce insulin spikes, support glucagon activity, preserve muscle mass, stabilize appetite hormones, improve neurotransmitter balance, and enhance overall metabolic function. The first meal of the day sends powerful signals to the body, and those signals often determine whether your metabolism spends the day storing energy or efficiently burning it. What if one of the most powerful fat-burning tools for your metabolism is something your body is naturally designed to do in the morning? Many people believe they must eat constantly to keep the metabolism active, but the human body is actually built to access stored energy between meals. One of the most effective ways to activate this process is through fasted morning movement. Simple activities like walking, light cardio, or low-intensity exercise before breakfast can create major changes in insulin levels, fat metabolism, mitochondrial function, and metabolic flexibility. When you wake up in the morning, your body has already been fasting for several hours during sleep. During this overnight fast, insulin levels naturally decline. This is important because insulin is the body's primary storage hormone. When insulin is elevated, fat burning becomes more difficult because the body is focused on storing energy rather than releasing it. Lower morning insulin levels create a unique metabolic window where the body is more capable of using stored fat as fuel. Fasted movement takes advantage of this hormonal environment. Without recently consumed carbohydrates circulating in the bloodstream, the body is more likely to rely on stored glycogen and body fat for energy production. This process encourages metabolic flexibility, which refers to the body's ability to efficiently switch between burning glucose and burning fat. Many individuals with insulin resistance lose this flexibility over time, meaning their bodies become overly dependent on sugar for energy. One of the major benefits of fasted morning exercise is improved insulin sensitivity. Insulin sensitivity determines how effectively cells respond to insulin and absorb glucose from the bloodstream. When insulin sensitivity is poor, the pancreas must produce more insulin to control blood sugar levels. Chronically elevated insulin contributes to weight gain, inflammation, and increased fat storage, particularly around the abdomen. Physical movement helps muscles absorb glucose independently of insulin through mechanisms involving GLUT4 transporters. This means muscle cells can pull glucose from the bloodstream more efficiently during activity, helping stabilize blood sugar and reducing the demand placed on the pancreas. Over time, this may improve overall metabolic health and reduce insulin resistance. Another important effect involves glycogen depletion. Glycogen is the stored form of glucose found primarily in the liver and muscles. During fasted activity, glycogen stores may gradually decrease, encouraging the body to increase fat oxidation for energy production. This metabolic shift can improve the body's ability to use stored fat more efficiently throughout the day. Mitochondria also respond strongly to fasted exercise. Mitochondria are responsible for generating cellular energy, and their health is closely tied to metabolic performance. Regular fasted movement may stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis, which means the body may increase both the number and efficiency of mitochondria inside cells. Healthier mitochondria improve energy production, endurance, and overall metabolic efficiency. Fasted movement may also influence important metabolic hormones such as growth hormone and norepinephrine. Growth hormone helps preserve lean muscle mass while supporting fat metabolism and tissue repair. Morning fasting combined with physical activity may naturally increase growth hormone activity. Norepinephrine, another hormone released during exercise, helps mobilize stored fat by stimulating fat cells to release fatty acids into the bloodstream where they can be used as fuel. The liver plays a critical role during this process as well. The liver helps maintain blood sugar balance during fasting periods by releasing stored glucose when needed. At the same time, it becomes more involved in fat metabolism and ketone production when carbohydrate availability is lower. Supporting liver metabolic flexibility is extremely important because the liver regulates glucose storage, fat processing, cholesterol production, and detoxification pathways. Another major advantage of morning movement is its effect on cortisol regulation. Cortisol naturally rises in the early morning to help increase alertness and energy availability. Controlled physical activity during this time may help synchronize healthy cortisol rhythms. However, excessively intense exercise in a fasted state may place too much stress on the body for some individuals, particularly those with adrenal dysfunction, chronic fatigue, or elevated stress levels. This is why moderate intensity movement such as brisk walking, cycling, or light resistance exercise is often more sustainable and metabolically supportive. Fasted morning movement may also improve appetite regulation later in the day. Physical activity affects hormones like ghrelin and leptin, which control hunger and satiety signals. Many people notice improved appetite control and fewer cravings when they begin the day with movement instead of immediately consuming processed carbohydrates. Inflammation and oxidative stress may improve as well. Regular movement supports circulation, lymphatic flow, and oxygen delivery to tissues. Better circulation helps transport nutrients and remove metabolic waste products more efficiently. Combined with improved mitochondrial activity, this can support healthier cellular function throughout the body. Even brain function benefits from fasted movement. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain and stimulates the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, commonly known as BDNF. This protein supports cognitive function, memory, and neurological health. Stable blood sugar and improved insulin sensitivity also help reduce mental fatigue and energy crashes during the day. Your metabolism is not controlled by one single factor. It is the result of constant communication between hormones, muscles, the liver, mitochondria, and the brain. Fasted morning movement may help lower insulin levels, improve fat oxidation, increase mitochondrial efficiency, support metabolic flexibility, and activate energy-producing systems that many people unknowingly suppress with sedentary habits and constant eating. Even a short period of morning movement can send powerful metabolic signals that influence how your body burns energy for the rest of the day. What if the very foods you eat in the morning are silently determining whether your body burns fat efficiently or stores more of it all day long? Most people think breakfast is simply about energy, but the first meal of the day creates powerful hormonal signals that influence insulin, blood sugar stability, appetite control, inflammation, and metabolic speed for hours afterward. One of the biggest metabolic mistakes is starting the day with sugar, refined carbohydrates, or processed breakfast foods that trigger sharp glucose spikes and excessive insulin release. When you consume refined carbohydrates early in the morning, such as sugary cereals, pastries, sweet coffee drinks, white bread, or processed breakfast bars, blood sugar rises rapidly. In response, the pancreas releases insulin to move glucose out of the bloodstream and into the cells. Insulin is essential for survival, but chronically elevated insulin is one of the strongest drivers of fat storage and metabolic dysfunction. The body is particularly sensitive to insulin signaling in the morning because cortisol levels naturally rise after waking. Cortisol helps mobilize stored energy and increase alertness. However, when large amounts of sugar or refined carbohydrates are consumed during this cortisol surge, blood glucose may rise even faster, creating a stronger insulin response. Over time, repeated insulin spikes can reduce insulin sensitivity, meaning cells stop responding efficiently to insulin signals. As insulin resistance develops, the pancreas must produce even more insulin to maintain blood sugar control. High insulin levels encourage the body to store excess energy as fat, particularly around the abdomen and liver. This is why many people struggle with stubborn belly fat despite reducing calories or increasing exercise. The issue is often hormonal and metabolic, not simply caloric. Another major problem with refined carbohydrates is the rapid blood sugar crash that follows the spike. When blood sugar drops too quickly, the brain interprets it as an energy emergency. This often triggers cravings, fatigue, irritability, and increased hunger shortly after eating. Many individuals feel constantly hungry throughout the day because their breakfast created unstable glucose fluctuations from the beginning. These blood sugar swings also affect the brain's reward system. Highly processed carbohydrates stimulate dopamine release, temporarily creating feelings of pleasure and satisfaction. However, repeated spikes in dopamine followed by crashes may increase cravings for more sugar and processed foods. This creates a cycle where people continue seeking quick energy foods while metabolic health gradually worsens. The liver is heavily impacted by this process as well. Excess sugar, especially fructose from processed foods and sweetened beverages, is largely metabolized in the liver. When the liver becomes overloaded with sugar, it may begin converting excess glucose into fat through a process called de novo lipogenesis. Over time, this can contribute to fatty liver accumulation, which is strongly associated with insulin resistance, inflammation, and slower metabolic function. Inflammation is another major consequence of high-sugar breakfasts. Chronically elevated blood sugar can increase oxidative stress and inflammatory markers throughout the body. Inflammation interferes with insulin signaling, damages blood vessels, and impairs mitochondrial function. Mitochondria are the energy-producing structures inside cells, and when they become less efficient, fatigue and slower metabolism often follow. The thyroid gland may also suffer from unstable blood sugar patterns. Thyroid hormones regulate metabolic speed, temperature control, and cellular energy production. Chronic inflammation and insulin resistance may interfere with thyroid hormone conversion, particularly the conversion of T4 into the active hormone T3. Reduced thyroid activity may contribute to low energy, weight gain, poor concentration, and difficulty burning calories efficiently. Another important factor involves appetite hormones such as leptin and ghrelin. Leptin helps signal fullness, while ghrelin stimulates hunger. Diets high in refined carbohydrates may disrupt these hormonal signals, causing people to feel less satisfied after meals and more prone to overeating. Stable blood sugar levels are critical for maintaining proper appetite regulation and reducing unnecessary calorie consumption. Replacing refined carbohydrates with nutrient-dense whole foods can significantly improve metabolic stability. Meals rich in protein, healthy fats, fiber, and minerals help slow glucose absorption and reduce excessive insulin spikes. Protein is especially important because it supports muscle maintenance, stabilizes appetite hormones, and creates a greater thermic effect compared to processed carbohydrates. Fiber also plays a major role in blood sugar control. Soluble fiber slows digestion and reduces the speed at which glucose enters the bloodstream. This helps prevent sharp insulin spikes and supports healthier gut bacteria. The gut microbiome itself influences inflammation, insulin sensitivity, and even appetite regulation through hormonal communication with the brain. Micronutrients are equally important for metabolic health. Magnesium, chromium, zinc, B vitamins, and vitamin D all contribute to insulin signaling and energy production. Many processed breakfast foods are calorie-dense but nutrient-poor, leaving the body undernourished despite excess calorie intake. Nutrient deficiencies may worsen fatigue, cravings, and metabolic dysfunction over time. Your metabolism is deeply connected to hormonal balance and blood sugar regulation. The foods consumed in the morning send powerful biochemical signals that influence insulin activity, fat storage, appetite hormones, inflammation, liver function, and mitochondrial energy production for the rest of the day. Delaying sugar and refined carbohydrates in the morning may help stabilize blood glucose, improve insulin sensitivity, reduce cravings, support healthier hormone function, and create a metabolic environment where the body becomes more efficient at burning energy instead of storing it.